So I'm here with Dylan Van Zant. Any relation to Leonard Skinner?
No, I'm not. They spelled it a little differently. There's a D in there in the last name that I don't have, but
Oh, okay.
I'm definitely not going to be on any planes with them.
So you're a guitarist
That's right.
in American Spirits?
Yeah, yeah.
Cool.
I play the guitar kind of badly though.
Yeah?
I'm not very technical, so being called a guitarist is like an honor that I don't think I deserve. I can
Okay.
play like 4 chords.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I think with guitar, though, sometimes it's more about the feeling and the texture so much rather than the technical aspects of playing guitar.
Yeah, I'm more of like a nursery rhyme guy. You know, I don't like all the like the math rock stuff. I like math rock. I just don't like making that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I
Like
think
the music for other musicians?
yeah. I've caught myself kind of doing that recently, where I'm like trying to like make stuff more intricate because I don't want to become known as someone who can only play 4 chords. But no, I definitely have tried to move into that, like getting a little more intricate and like doing more stuff to like fill the gap because there isn't another guitar player in the band.
Yeah, learning some of the. I can understand that. You said you're kind of a big Kurt Cobain fan, though.
Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
a huge Kurt Cobain fan,
And his guitar playing was very much.
that's
It
everything.
was kind of hook driven, but
Yeah,
it wasn't
that's
real
everything for me.
technical. It definitely wasn't Van Halen or anything, you know.
No, Kurt
And
Cobain.
he even used to say that he wasn't all that great of a guitar player, but he was more of a songwriter, I guess.
Yeah, that's literally like my biggest inspiration. And yeah, what exactly? He said he didn't want to be Van Halen. He just wanted to write songs that people wanted to hear. You know,
Yeah.
they don't want to hear crazy solos and stuff. They want to hear a hook, and they want to hear the same 4 chords. And a lot of time, I think that's kind of where I get that like Kurt Cobain. He just plays the same 4 chords and then just plays arpeggios of those chords, and then
Right.
just stomps on a pedal and then jumps into the song.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of how that's every one of our songs. I think is like that.
Yeah, it seems like he does a lot with. It's more with dynamics. He's looking for
Yeah.
like a loud, and then the
Loud, quiet, loud.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That's everything with us.
Which
The
kind of
first-
comes from the Pixies too.
Yeah.
He was a big Pixies fan. I think he said one of his favorite albums was. I can't remember what Pixies album it was.
Too
but-
little.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think that I definitely I don't want to fall into that like I'm a huge Kurt Cobain fan and I'm hugely inspired by the Pixies, you know, kind of everybody else who's
Yeah.
you know my age and in a rock band, but no, I think that I'm a huge Kurt Cobain fan and like I've read a lot of the books and stuff, and he talks a lot about how inspired he was by Frank Black and the Pixies and like the simple loud, quiet, loud, and
I think the thing with the Pixies was it seemed like they were so influential for their era, but not because so much of the music where everyone just like loved the music, which the music was great, but I feel like what the Pixies did was they made everybody say, I could start a band.
yeah,
Like they gave everybody that idea, like because they looked like just normal guys, and their songs seemed like they were so simple that anybody could write them. And a lot of times, you know, with his singing, you know, he wasn't like a classically trained singer or anything. Sometimes he was just yelling and screaming, and so I think it gave a lot of people that idea that like I can do this too. So I think that's where his influence was huge. Was he just like he started a crazy wave of people just starting bands. It
Yeah.
seems like.
yeah.
So
I think that you know, like every musician that I'm inspired by is probably inspired by the Pixies. I mean, that came after the Pixies, so they're a huge influence on me, whether or not I want to admit it or not. And I do like the Pixies, and I've listened to quite a bit, but I just for some reason I really just I think I don't know if it's like the quality of the recording. That sounds so bad. That sounds so
does,
terrible to say,
yeah.
but like,
Well, no, you're totally
But
right
like, I don't
there.
know if it's like the quality of the recording, but I just feel like every recording is like kind of bad, and some of it works, and some of it I'm like, oh man, is this a demo? But,
Yeah, they did have some crazy sounding recordings. I think it was cool because it was so different at the time. But
No, I definitely think it adds coolness, but
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I was a little shallower when I was younger, so I kind of heard it and I was like, "Oh, this isn't good." But
no, that's understandable. It's almost like some of them. It just sounds like they just pushed a tape recorder.
Yeah.
and
that's the best though.
or they were
after-
just in a closet. Which I
Yeah.
think some of the stories they did do some of like the vocals and stuff in a closet. But
after some of the Summit Check shows, I hand the bands a recorded cassette that I recorded for them, and I just mic
cool.
the room with a vocal mic.
Yeah.
And the quality is not very good, but it's something they can, if they have a tape deck at home, they can throw it in and
Yeah, I was
listen to
gonna
themselves. And like a lot of times, I hand it to them, and they're like, "Oh, I think that our tour van has a cassette player."
Yeah.
You know, and they'll throw it in, and I just think it's just something cool to give somebody, you know.
Yeah,
And we have like
What do
recordings
you-
of a lot of our shows.
So if you get it onto a tape, what do you? Is that going into like a 4-track or something, or
No, so we have
just have a little tape recorder?
yeah, I have a tape deck. It's a Caliphone. I think that, like multiple people have come up to me and been like, "Hey, dude, keep that thing. It's worth something." So I don't know if it's actually worth anything or not, but it's got like a speaker, or sorry, it's got like a microphone jack. So I just plug a vocal mic in and record, and it works. I've actually used it to like record from digital to cassette, just for shits and gigs, and it works that way too. I don't know. It's kind of a silly like little.
Kind of defeats the purpose of recording the tape.
Yeah, it definitely does. But no, I just wanted to see if I could one day, and I
Yeah,
did. And it really. So if you have a really bad quality recording, and you're like a really terrible musician, record it on your computer and then put it onto a tape and then play it on a tape deck and then turn it up really loud and you sound awesome.
Okay.
So that was
That's the key.
That was the key, yeah.
All
And
right.
I have one of those laying around somewhere. So there's some like super early American Spirits, crappy demos recorded onto a cassette tape.
So you have a new EP out. Are you planning on doing anything cool with like vinyl or
So
cassette tape?
So actually, I'm working on doing some cassettes right now. I'm trying to find someone that will like let me do it at their house because we're like super DIY and broke. So if you have a cassette player and you want to hook me up, let me know.
What's the plan? Or do you put it from the recordings you already have? Are you going to use?
Yeah.
and then you're
Yeah.
just going to transfer them to
Yeah.
a cassette.
Yeah, I think that's like whether anyone wants to admit it or not. I think that's pretty much what everyone's doing. Like
Okay.
literally, I don't think anyone in the industry is literally recording on to tape and then like actually
Yeah.
putting it onto vinyl. I
Or
think
they're
everything
using
that's
like tape emulation plugins.
everything that's put out on vinyl now is recorded onto digital in some format or another.
Yeah.
Like there's no escaping that now in 2018. But yeah, I mean it does feel cheap, but no, it's kind of like an novelty and it's something for people to support the band. And if I see that someone has a CD for $10 or a cassette for $10, I mean, what are the chances that you're actually going to listen to that CD anyways? Like, I'm just going to put it on my computer one time and then never listen to the actual physical CD. Or I could buy the cassette for $10 and put that on my computer because it's going to come with a download, like every format ever
Right.
now. And you're gonna not listen. You're gonna put the cassette in, and I think that it's cooler to have the cassette and than the CD because I don't know. I think that whether anyone wants to admit it or not, the cassette is cooler than the CD. It's a warm format versus a cold format. But no, I just think if you're gonna pay to support the band, I might as well get something I think is cooler. So,
Yeah. So do you have plans for vinyl?
I don't know. I think that there's a place that we can like if we can get 100 pre-sales, they'll fund it for us.
Oh yeah.
And
some of them do.
I want to do that, but
Some of them do a print on demand.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I think
it's
they're a
super
little
pricey.
expensive.
It's super
Yeah.
pricey, and then
That's the downside.
another downside of being like a local band is that we're super broke. So getting like copies of a vinyl made, I don't know if anyone knows the prices offhand, but it's very expensive. It's like well over $25 per per vinyl, and if you're getting in mass like over 100, it's like $20 a vinyl.
Yeah.
So that's like a lot of vinyl to sit on for us because we're not signed or anything. So.
Right. The
So,
interesting thing about vinyl, though, is there seems to be a resurgence. And what you were saying about, if they get a cassette, they're just going to listen to the download. Well, the interesting thing with vinyl is a lot of the vinyl fans or enthusiasts, they actually will listen to that vinyl record because of the warm sound that they get. And a lot of them have their whole room set up with their record player.
Yeah.
And
So I actually do that.
you do?
Yeah.
Okay. So you're
I'm one of those guys. But I'm not gonna be a snob and tell you that it sounds a million times better because
you can
I
be a
have
snob.
I have like $110 Audio Technica turntable that was given to me by an amazing friend, and I have all my records are warped and probably skip at one point, and I'm running it through not the nicest stereo. So it's not really the best. It's not really the quality. I really enjoy getting up in the morning and having my cup of coffee and sitting there and starting my day off with some band work and drinking my cup of coffee and putting on. I put on, progressively throughout the day. I'll listen to like Jackson Browne and James Taylor in the morning, and then I'll go throughout the day. I'll go up to like Cage the Elephant or Secret Space or something like that. But I really love getting up and flipping the record over, and I really love just really actually physically having to do something.
There's
pulling
a
music out of your
textile
playing music out of your
element to
phones
it.
is not the same. Pushing play on a screen is not the same as putting the needle in the record.
You get that sound and just that feel. And
It's like the artistry.
Right.
It all goes back to that like artists are weird, and we have like certain things that we like to do, and I like to listen to vinyl, and that inspires me to like, I don't know, when I put on a good Bob Dylan album, and I've listened to Free Will and Bob Dylan while drinking my coffee, and I'm booking shows in the morning. I just feel like a lot better, than if I'm listening to something on Pandora. But I do
also
enjoy that,
Yeah, it seems like it also makes your focus, your attention.
Yeah.
You're right on the music because you're not doing a whole bunch of other things, or maybe you're drinking your coffee and doing some stuff. But it seems like a lot of music in the digital realm is more of a background sort of. That's what it's there for.
But
I
do have time. There is time for that, though. There is definitely a time for Pandora or for Spotify.
Yeah.
I think that's awesome.
It's
think
super
that it's great.
convenient.
Yeah, it is.
I feel like, though, as an artist, I don't want to dog Spotify too much, but I feel like Spotify is great for consumers of music and a way to get music easily accessible.
Yeah.
But from the artist standpoint, man, I'm not a big fan of Spotify.
So let's talk about that. What do you think? What do you not like about Spotify?
Well,
let's just say I'm not like the biggest proponent of Spotify, but I don't dislike it. What do you
the
think?
main problems that I have with it are the limited. So you have to go through a distributor to get your songs on Spotify,
Which is a huge problem nowadays.
Yeah. I mean, especially if you're trying to do things DIY and you don't want, so you have to use like a CD Baby or TuneCore to get your stuff submitted to them.
So there's only 3 that I know of that are like legitimate that I would trust: DistroKid, CD Baby, TuneCore, and there might be a couple more that are out there that I'm forgetting about. But like,
are you guys using one of those?
I use DistroKid.
Okay.
And we use DistroKid, and we've had a couple problems. I wouldn't say major problems.
Yeah.
Nothing that's like super bad. But I think everything's a business. I think everything goes back to that like the same problem that everyone has with booking agents or promoters or people who book a club or there's so many people working in this industry, and it's so focused on certain people that if you're not one of those people, they don't care about you.
Right.
And that happens from local all the way up to the top. And it's the same thing with Spotify. Like they don't care about me and you, but they care a lot about Post Malone, and they care a lot about Rolling Stones,
right?
And they care a lot about Bob Dylan. They're giving those people a lot of money.
Yeah. Well, and essentially the record industry, all those big execs have now moved into Spotify, so they're kind of running things over there, and it's kind of the same tastemakers that were in radio. So you used to have to, be in with a record label, and then they will submit your stuff to the radio stations, and then the radio stations will have a short list of bands that they're going to play. And if you're on that list, great, you got exposed to everybody. And I feel like Spotify is kind of in that same realm. There's a lot of the big playlists that seem like
playlists are huge.
Yeah, playlists are huge. To become a big playlist, a popular playlist, I don't know what that involves, but I feel like
you have to get on the business playlists.
Yeah,
the coffee house playlist, and like the playlist that people play at restaurants that are playing 24/7. I actually know a local band who got put on a playlist for like a coffee house, like a chill coffee house session, and it gets played at like every Starbucks in the whole world.
Wow,
all the time.
That's great.
And his band went and they made all this money.
Yeah.
From this one song.
See, I wonder.
And they built their whole following on this one song that was on this one coffee house playlist.
See,
and that's the benefit of it.
The format for me seems like that those playlists are almost set up like the radio stations of the old, though. Like you have to be on that short list of like chosen ones to get there. And it may not be based on talent or what your music sounds like.
Yeah.
Which is generally the case in the music business.
Yeah. I think that it's like everything else. I think that the world's it's not fair, and that's not to like say that that we're not getting a fair rap, or anything like that, because we've been super lucky. But like the world's not fair, and like everybody doesn't look the same, and everybody doesn't dress the same, and everybody doesn't sound the same, and everybody doesn't have the same opinions, and there's a certain thing that people want, and there's a certain look that people want, and a certain clothes that people want, and a certain opinions people want, and if you don't fit into that perfect thing, then it's not going to happen for you, and that's ridiculous. But that's how it is, and that's how it's always been, and I feel like hopefully it's changing a little bit with like the way that Hollywood's going and everything, but there's just like a certain it's just like the music business has been so unfair for so long, and it does not favor the good musicians.
Yeah.
We had spoken earlier about promotion. If like the best musician in the world could release something, and it could be the greatest thing you've ever heard, but if they don't promote it, no one's going to hear it. No one's going to care.
Yeah.
And that
you can literally get 5 views on YouTube, and then you're done.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's but the interesting thing with the music business is it is still, I mean, if you think back to how long recorded music's been around, it's only like the early 1900s maybe. I'm not exactly sure, but I think like the 1920s they've started recording music. It may be way older.
Yeah. I'm a total dunce on this stuff, so I can't help you.
But it seems like, the record industry blew up in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, and, through the radio channel, and the entire country is listening to radio, and there's only 5 TV stations, so there's not that much for people to be exposed to, so their focus is a lot more, they're focused on a lot more of the same stuff or the same channels. But
to focus on that, to exactly what you're saying, like, it blew up in the 60s, 70s, 80s, and then in the 90s. So you have, like, in the 60s, it was rock and roll, and, like, it was, like, the beginning of rock and roll with the Beatles, and then the 70s, it was a little progressively harder with Led Zeppelin. In the 80s, it was Van Halen, and then 90s, it was grunge, so it was rock and roll, rock and roll, rock and roll. 2000s, NSYNC, Backstreet Boys, Britney Spears. There was still some rock and roll, but those were that took over. That like pop took over.
Yeah.
And then 2010s rap, hip hop have taken over.
Well, I think it's just changed
mainstream media. Like if you can't, even the biggest bands on like the radio, on like the rock radio right now, those guys are still playing B cities every night. Those guys aren't selling out places like hip hop. They're not making money like hip hop. They still work regular jobs sometimes.
Right, yeah.
So like the music industry is not favoring us either. The music industry is favoring rap and hip hop, and that's just the way it goes. And we can do everything we possibly can to change that. But I don't want to like I'm not gonna like boo hoo about it.
Yeah.
Because like when there's nothing we can do, because that's just like what kids want to hear. But I'm gonna do my best to like bring something that kids want to hear, and like I think that's kind of like the key is getting all these young people, and like I don't want to say like super young people, but like I don't know, when I was 16, 17, 18, I was going to shows and I was super into rock and roll, and I was like a weird kid for it. Like that was not something that was cool when you were when I was going to school. So going to rock and roll shows, like I was going to Cage the Elephant shows when I was 16. You know, that wasn't something that everyone else was doing.
Yeah.
You know, I think that's important though. So if I don't want exclusively 16-year-olds coming to my shows or anything, but I do want kids to come out and I want kids to hear our music. And I think the kids are the key to like changing, you know, the culture. And the kids,
Right.
the kids that are 17, 18 now, in a couple of years, they're going to be going to the rock club. You know, they're going to be going to Howard's when they're old enough to drink, and they're going to be telling their friends like, yo, this is here. This is cool. Because when I was going to college at Bowling Green, it wasn't cool at
Yeah.
all. It was like
Yeah.
nobody went to Howard's.
Yeah,
you
that's
know?
interesting. I mean, I think it's evolving. And, you know, back to what I was saying about the 70s and 80s and the big music boom in the record industry. If you think back before that, when it was just like a lot of live music, or even back into the 18th century and the 7th, just, you know, musicians playing for the king, it seems like the musician or the artist realm has always kind of been almost, you know, it's never been rewarded money-wise or fame-wise. It's always been kind of like the poor musician playing, you know, for pennies on the side of the street. And then there was this boom in the 60s and 70s and 80s. And even like, you know, Paul McCartney talks about when they were starting out in Liverpool, they were one of like 5 bands. And there just wasn't a lot of bands
They
back
couldn't get
then.
instruments, right?
Yeah.
It was hard to get instruments there. There was not very many people who made instruments in that part of England or something. And there was trade tariffs, so it was hard to get American instruments.
Yeah.
So
And
like
if you
getting like
think
a
that
Fender
was-
there was like impossible.
And that was just the 60s. So,
Yeah.
I mean, we're not that far removed from, there was just this giant boom. And then, you know, just like pro sports, when people start making millions and you see Van Halen on TV and all these huge bands, then you're kind of like, I don't know, I think it just created this boom where everybody wanted to become a musician. And now today, it's almost like being a musician is a grain of salt in the ocean. There's just so much. Now, being a good musician is a completely different thing, because there's a lot of, and that's the other thing with technology and being able to have a studio in your home. I mean,
Yeah.
everybody has access now to recording themselves, or, you know, and there's beats everywhere that you can just
Not only that, but
in.
every single person in the world who has an iPhone has GarageBand on their iPhone.
yeah, yeah.
That's literally
And the
almost that's a
quality's
studio in
actually really
everyone's
good.
pocket.
I would
the
say an
studio-
iPhone is probably better than the studios that like the Beatles recorded in.
Absolutely.
You know, it's in
The microphone quality, I don't know, probably not as good, but like, you know, the
Yeah.
actual studio quality, hell yeah.
and the
You
just
know?
the ability to just edit and change and do things and just move stuff around and
They had to splice tape.
yeah, yeah, I know. We have it so good. But that is the cool thing, I think, with technology. That was one of the things that was good for me, you know, being a songwriter, is I always, for the last few years, I felt like I just had songs piling up and I didn't have an outlet for them. And it was almost like being a painter without a canvas. And that was just mainly because I didn't have a home studio, which only costs a couple $100 to really put something nice together.
Yeah.
And so it
Super
was
cheap.
just kind of, for me, it was just a learning curve of like, how do you mix, how do you record,
Yeah.
and getting that kind of stuff down. And now I feel like I have the freedom whenever I have a song and that I want to record, and I can actually put out a recording that is pretty good quality compared to even the standards that are on the radio today.
If
And
you're
that's
an-
just out of my bedroom.
If you're an
you know?
acoustic act, just an acoustic and vocals, you can literally buy a microphone and an interface and plug it into your MacBook and record in your house or in your bathroom, you know, just as good as it'll sound just as good as a lot of the studios.
Yeah,
You know,
totally.
and that'll cost you $150, if that.
And even what we're doing today with podcasting, you know,
Yeah.
this was only reserved for radio stations
Yeah.
20 years ago.
Yeah.
So now, you know,
Even when
and
I was a kid-
podcasting has blown up, but I mean,
Yeah.
now you can just, you know, set up, have a conversation, and it's pretty interesting the way technology, and you can
Yeah.
release it to the world instantly,
Yep.
which is pretty amazing.
Even when I was a kid, I'm glad I didn't have a microphone around a lot of times because I was
Yeah.
really really bad. But no, even when I was a kid, it was hard to get recordings. It was hard to record myself.
Yeah.
When I was a kid.
Yeah, I remember having a little tape recorder.
Yeah.
And when I first started playing guitar, and the quality of it's just crap. And the thing is with music that some people may not understand, but as a musician, so generally speaking, everything you hear on the radio when it comes to recording quality and mixing quality is like remarkably top of the line,
Yeah.
great. So like the industry standard is greatness already. It's excellence.
Yeah.
So as a home studio, even with the technology that we have, there is a lot of skill that you need to learn just to get your track sounding okay. Because the problem is with a music that has a bad recording, it can be a really great song, really well written, and sometimes if the recording in the mixing is just a little bit off, or it's a little bit muffled or wolfy sounding, an average listener will listen to it, and because they already expect the excellence of what's out there on the radio, they automatically they kind of just think, well, it's all right. It's
Yeah.
like a local band sound,
Yep.
sort of.
Literally
And I
every garage band ever.
Yeah.
I wouldn't call myself a promoter, but I book shows. So I book a lot of shows for some local bands. So I get a lot of Bandcamp links, and I try not to judge too hard, but if I in the first 10 seconds I hear like an awful quality recording, I'm already like, oh, another one of these.
Yeah.
That's not to disqualify anyone, because I've booked a lot of those great bands that are like that, but
Yeah.
I just immediately think, oh, another one of these.
But even if the song is great, it's like
Yeah, the song could be great, but I immediately think
it's
like,
hard
oh,
to
man.
it's hard to just imagine the song being great if the recording is crappy.
Yeah,
It's just
that's
like,
what I'm saying. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really hard to even give someone a chance when it's really
Yeah.
a crap recording.
Yeah, so I think
And that's why we spent a lot of money on ours.
Yeah.
That's why we paid someone who knew how to do it.
Well, that's
a lot of
important.
money. And that's the first thing that everyone says when they hear it. And whether this is a good thing or bad thing, but the first thing they notice is how good the quality is.
yeah. No, your song sounded great.
Thanks. Thank you.
I was really digging it. So with that EP, you did that. Was it in Toledo that you recorded it?
Yeah, we recorded that at the Collingwood Arts Center at
Okay.
Steve Orsler's studio.
Yep.
I think he calls it the master bedroom. So that used to be the home of Peapod's podcast studio.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
they started off there.
So is it Steve's house? Or is
No,
it,
Steve
oh, I'm
rented
sorry.
out the Collingwood.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The
You just
Collingwood.
said that.
Yeah, it's like a super cool little arts building.
Right.
It's huge. I'm not really sure, like what all they do there, but I know that they have like a bunch of theaters, and they have like events and stuff all the time. It's super cool. It's an amazing building.
Yeah.
Kind of looks like something off Harry Potter.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was talking to Steve, and he was telling me about his. He just kind of built that room, right? He
Yeah.
was talking about his drum room that he built there.
Yeah.
That was. I did some recording with him at 6010.
Yeah, we recorded our first two singles at 6010. We recorded RGB and Leave Me Alone, which
Okay.
are the first two singles that we recorded way back. Excuse me. Back in, oh man, maybe September, or maybe even before September.
Yeah.
But maybe it's like maybe July or something like that. But yeah, we recorded a couple singles at 6010 Studios, and it's actually really funny because I was watching. I don't know if you remember, there used to be a series called Toledo Idol. It was on channel 11, I think. Or
Yeah.
channel 13 or something.
Yep.
And they were live at 6010 Studios with
really?
with one of the bands, and I was really digging it. It was cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, we recorded there, and I think
Man, they have a
pretty much
really
everyone.
big sounding room there.
Yeah.
Was that like an
Yeah.
old barn or something?
Yeah, it's a pole. I don't know. It's up like a pole barn, and
Yeah.
then was Mike Pierce there when you were doing it?
Yeah, Mike
Yeah.
was running. He was engineering.
Yeah,
it.
Mike Pierce is an amazing guy. He's I don't know what that dude does for a living.
Yeah, he's a pretty quiet dude.
I don't. Yeah, he's
but,
quiet.
he seemed
but,
to know what he was
But he
doing.
knows exactly what he wants, and he knows exactly what to expect.
Yeah.
And that he's turned that place into like the most amazing little sound room.
Yeah. Yeah, it was interesting for me. I went in as a drummer. I played drums in a folk band for Ben Stalitz, and So I was there as a drummer, and Steve was there, who's also a drummer, and Mike was there, who's also a drummer. And so it was kind of one of those things where I was like, uh-oh, how's this going to go? We
Yeah.
have 3 drummers in the room.
Yeah. Was this when Steve was with Secret Space or before that?
Yeah, this was just last year.
Okay.
So yeah, he was with Secret.
So he's in the midst of Secret Space at the time.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
this was right before he got into his new studio.
Okay.
I think
Cool.
this was right as he was building
Yeah.
it. It's crazy, man. We did we recorded I think 10 tracks, and that was in 2017. And Ben's just been working on the layers of it from there. Like for me it was kind of like being a hired musician almost.
Yeah.
Like I was in the studio for 2 days, got all the drum tracks finished, and we got all the bass lines finished. And now for the last year, he's just been working on it. And I've heard it, and but I don't really have like that creative input that I normally do
Yeah.
on projects. But
Yeah, I feel like that's cool though. A lot of times, certain musicians have like a certain thing they want to accomplish, and they want to make that a reality.
Yeah.
And they want to get the best possible drummer they can get and the best possible bass player they can get, and they want to make whatever they can the best they can. And I don't know. I
yeah,
don't
they
know.
do that a lot in Nashville. A
Yeah.
lot of pro studios, they have their
just a lot of a lot of times
session guys.
Session guys, yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of times, like I'm in a little side project with Ryan Gongware and TJ Parker, 2 of the best musicians I think that are local, that are young in the scene, and I'm in a little side project with them because they're the 2 coolest and best guys I could get,
Yeah.
And I love my Spirits guys, but I wanted something
Well, I
fresh.
mean, that's
So-
kind of what the story of Led Zeppelin is,
Yeah.
That was
I'm not super versed, but I kind of know like the basic background.
well the guitar.
Eric Clapton, and it was in Cream with Jimmy Page, right?
Yeah, Jimmy Page was a session guy, and then he decided to get I think Bonham and everybody else, and they just kind of put it together as like a super group back in the day
Yeah.
of just the area musicians who they knew were badass, and then just stole all the songs from that other band, and here we
Yeah.
go.
I heard about that. I heard that's kind of sketchy.
Oh
but,
man, I watched that. I went down that YouTube rabbit hole. Of
so
watching
my
those
thing
videos.
is I can watch YouTube videos for like 8 hours. And at the end of the 8 hours, I'll tell you dinosaurs were never real, and the
Yeah,
Earth was
the
flat.
Earth was flat,
and
right.
literally every conspiracy theory is true.
Chemtrails.
And, and JFK was murdered by the Russians,
Yeah.
who were in cahoots with Ron Jeremy, and
Yeah. You have to be careful what you feed your head.
Yeah, because some of that stuff's really convincing, man.
I know. Oh, totally.
You're only hearing one side.
Yeah.
That's kind of the problem with electronic formats. Everything's equal, everything looks like the same.
Yeah. Yeah, that was the thing with Zeppelin, though, when I was comparing it side by side and they were showing the original songs. That was a little bit, I was
Yeah,
like,
it's very similar.
They took the ideas, but, they're a great band regardless.
Yeah, they're an amazing band, and they're super influential, and they're amazing. And like I think whether every band wants to admit it, we all steal something. I mean, not to that extent, not to that extent, but they kind of stole the whole parts. But we all steal something. It's just we can't help
I
it.
love
As musicians.
I
it's our
love
nature.
Bonham's drum style, though.
Yeah.
As a drummer, like that's
I feel like as a drummer, it's so easy to steal something because because it's on a melody. A lot of times
Right.
nobody notices it unless they're really paying attention.
Well, I think of drums as more of just dancing along with the music, kind of. Like once you
That's a great way to
know
put it.
how to play drums, and you're confident with your techniques, then it just becomes okay. Here's the song, and there's only a certain amount of dance moves that you can dance to this song. So, for me, at least, and I think Dave Grohl was the one that originally quoted that, but I have
What's your thought?
somewhat parallel with Dave Grohl, other than like not the fact that he's like a famous rock star or anything, but I started as a drummer and then became a guitarist and lead singer of a band, and so I don't know. I really like Dave Grohl, but he said that was one of the things. He's like, yeah, man, when I play guitar, it's all about I have to learn these notes and remember what chord and what key we're in and all these different, and I have to remember lyrics. He's like, but playing drums is just like dancing.
Yeah.
He's like just dancing along with the music. And I'm like, oh, that makes so much sense, man. That's like perfect analogy.
Whenever I fuck up at one of our shows, it's like everybody will look over at me like, I can't believe you messed that up.
Yeah, you hit a
and
bad
it's
note.
It's like, you know, you guys, you play the drums and you play
Yeah.
the bass. You're playing 2 notes the whole song. I got to play like 40 different things in this song. Give me a break. Like, that's
Yeah.
why I messed up. You can mumble through the song and nobody will care.
Yeah.
But yeah, guitar's
and there's
hard, man.
And there's really, once you understand drums, there's really no bad notes that you can hit. If you hit something off beat that isn't in sync, then you lose. But
The only time a drummer ever messes
can't
up
hit
is
a
when
wrong
they,
drum.
Yeah, they just lose a stick or something, or
Yeah.
miss a kick or something like that. You know,
Yeah.
drummers don't really mess up. You know,
well, yeah, unless
So,
you're,
I mean,
unless
if you're
you just
bad,
mess up
if
the
you're
beat.
bad, yeah. I definitely have run into that before.
Yeah. Well,
I've seen a lot of bands, and I've seen a lot of good bands and a lot of really bad bands.
yeah.
I'm not gonna name any names, but we played with a band recently that didn't play any instruments. So
Oh,
it looked
acapella?
no, it looked like they were playing instruments. So they had instruments in their hands, and there was nothing plugged into them.
Were they playing like through a backing track?
Yeah, so everything was on a track.
no.
They were a touring band. They were pretty big, and
Really?
yeah, pretty huge. And they were performing to a backing track. My first noticed when they were lip syncing, and I was like, wow,
no.
this is bad. I kind of noticed it was a really obvious lip sync, and
See, I don't mind the backing track.
the backing track's okay for certain things, but
It
like
can't be-
a
it can't
backing
be
vocal,
everything.
but and a lot of times, like a lot of bands, especially in that kind of genre, it was a heavier genre. So
it wasn't 21 Pilots.
no.
Because they actually, I
but
think they used the backing track
this
in a
this
tasteful
this
way.
was literally no nothing they were playing on the instruments was coming through.
Wow.
There was times when the bass player wasn't playing anything, and there was still bass coming through.
Oh, no. That's terrible.
Yeah, and none of them had any pedals, and it was clear that pedals were being used.
Oh, and you said they were a popular band. Like, not-
Very. They have like 250,000 followers on Facebook.
Ooh.
They're huge on tour.
Did you ask them why they don't play? their
I did not.
instruments?
I did not. I did when I suspected that they weren't playing their instruments. I was just kind of like, oh, this is kind of lame. So I went over and kind of got like a better look on the side of the stage, and I'm like, there's no amps up there.
Oh,
And I'm like,
jeez.
there's no.
Were
there's
they
nothing-
doing dance moves at least?
Yeah, they were killing
Choreographer?
it, dude. If you
Oh,
if you
okay.
didn't know, everybody in there was loving it, dude. They were murdering it.
So they were really
They looked the
faking it.
part. Oh man, they were faking the hell out of it. They did this all tour, I guarantee it. You know,
Wow.
I know some people out there might be like, oh, they were using Axe Effects or they were no. I did go. I know the sound guy pretty
They
well.
weren't directly into
no,
the PA?
No, I know the sound guy pretty well, and I went back and I was like, hey, are these guys on a backing track? And he just like kind of looked at me and pointed, and there was literally like Audacity or like Logic running on the
Man.
computer next to him going into the board. So shame
Yeah.
on you.
Yeah.
But no, they looked the part. They were killing it. Everybody there loved it.
Was
we-
there
we
a
opened-
drummer?
Oh yeah, the drummer murdered it
So
too.
he was
the drummer
playing.
was playing.
He had to
yeah,
play.
he had to play. Yeah, you can't fake the drums.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a real kit, and he was playing well.
Yeah.
He actually had some really cool moves as well. He did stand on his kit and like do some cool like the crow moves and stuff. So that was cool.
So if I were
But,
the drummer, I'd be like, I need to get paid double what these guys
Yeah.
get or something.
Yeah. I honestly, so I could. They were like I said, they were murdering it.
Yeah.
Everybody thought they were doing great, and they sold a lot of merch after the show. One thing I've noticed, and this isn't to like put anyone down, but one thing I've noticed is the better someone's merch table is, the worse they are.
Oh, really? That makes
Anytime
sense.
that I see someone with like an enormous merch table that's like perfectly put together, I'm like, oh, they spend a lot of time on that merch table. How much did they spend time practicing?
Yeah.
And every time they suck.
Yeah, I think that makes sense. It's almost a correlation between
It's like they care
the
more
artistic
about that.
side of a person and the business marketing side.
Yeah.
You know, the merch is kind of the business marketer, and they don't always go together.
No, they definitely don't.
Yeah.
Our merch table is the top of my pedal board that comes off
Oh,
when,
nice.
when I get ready to play. and a T-shirt, a CD, and some shitty signs that we made on the computer.
Yeah.
Sorry, Trey, they're not shitty.
Do you have anything online that you sell, or do you just give it away?
So we have everything like physical. Like you have to come to us to get it. We will ship it to you if you send us a message on Facebook. We're super personal. We're
Yeah,
not
that's
famous
cool.
or anything, so just send us messages if you want something.
Yeah.
You can pay what you want on Bandcamp for our album, and that's digital. And if you buy it digitally, you get 2 tracks that we recorded live that are not on this album. And if you buy it digitally on Bandcamp, you get those 2 tracks, and you can not get
cool.
those anywhere else. So if you even pay $1,
Exclusive
then you get that.
bonus.
Yeah, so I think that's super cool because you can literally not hear those anywhere else. I don't even think I have the files. so
Nice.
they're super exclusive, and they're super cool songs.
Yeah.
And one of them is one of my favorites.
With Bandcamp, I'm not on Bandcamp, but when you download off of Bandcamp, where do those files? Do they go into iTunes? Do they come?
So you
Are they
put-
just a
so, like-
zipped file that you get?
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure that when you like buy something off Bandcamp, it's just like downloading it off of if you like do a vinyl, if you have a vinyl and you put the CD code in. You know,
Okay.
you know what I mean. Like if you buy a vinyl, it comes with a download code, and it gives you a zip file, and then you just drag that into iTunes and
Okay.
And
So do you generally
so-
have to do it on a? Because the reason I'm asking is I do a DIY sort of download, so I don't go through Bandcamp, but I have links set up on my website for people.
Yeah.
But the issue that I run into is mobile phones getting downloads, especially zipped files.
Yeah.
They tend
I don't
to
know. I
have-
think that
and
I
then
think that you should have
iPhones-
Bandcamp, dude.
Yeah, well, iPhones tend to not like zipped files. Depending
iPhones
on
definitely
the size.
you definitely can't get on your phone and download
Yeah.
it from Bandcamp. I think if you're on your
See,
phone,
that's-
the best way to listen to music is probably through Apple Music or through Spotify.
Yeah,
But as far as like
and those are both streaming.
yes, as far as
Yeah.
like actually putting music on your phone, you just have to have a computer.
Yeah.
I mean you have to.
That's the problem I'm running into, man. I want my.
But who doesn't have a computer nowadays?
Yeah,
Or who doesn't have
but
access to one?
the thing is, I think with consumers of music, they generally just prefer to stream on their phone
Yeah, definitely.
a lot more than get it. Like,
Yeah.
So it's cool to have downloads for people because then they have it permanently, so they don't stream it and then leave and never come back. So it's good for the artist to have
Yeah.
to give downloads, but it's more inconvenient for the consumer
Yeah.
or the
I
fans or
agree.
whatever. So
I just don't think that there
I'm
is
stuck on that.
unless you're on iTunes and someone wants to buy it off iTunes. There's just not a good way to put music on iPhones.
Yeah.
I'm not
a
familiar
bummer.
with. I'm not familiar with Androids.
You can
but-
get a U2 album on iPhones pretty easy. It's free.
So
It's right
actually,
there.
I don't know. What do you think about U2? Are you a U2 fan?
Not a fan of the music. No.
Me neither. I don't
Never
like.
have been.
I don't like. I don't like the personalities. I don't like the edge. And then I watched It Might Get Loud, and I was like, oh man, the edge with all these effects, and like he's
Yeah, it's
like,
a
I
crazy-
made a whole album without touching my guitar. Without
That's a
playing
great movie.
note."
I like when Jack White builds a guitar in the
Yeah.
beginning.
I actually
Sweet.
did that immediately after watching the movie. I was
Yeah?
probably like fucking 12 when that came out. So as soon as it came out, I like,
You were like,
I was obsessed. Yeah,
yeah, that's
I
great.
I started playing guitar when I was 10. So I couldn't actually play anything till I was 13. So for
Yeah.
3 years, I was slapping away on that thing, totally out of
Really?
tune, just holding
Nice.
it wrong, and yeah, not using a pick or anything.
I wish I would have learned to play guitar when I was younger. I mean, I played drums when I was 10.
Yeah.
I started on drums, and then I played all through high
I
school.
feel like starting on drums is the best because you can get like a good sense of time.
yeah,
Like, it's so many
it
musicians.
definitely was
so many guitar players. I mean, like me and you were both frequently at the open mic. So many people can't keep time.
Yeah,
I'm guilty as well sometimes. If it's like a song that I've been really struggling on, or sometimes open mic's just something for us to just work on stuff.
Yeah.
And work on in front of people.
Well, it's definitely
but
more
so
difficult.
many people just can't keep time, and it's just tap your foot, man.
Yeah, yeah.
I feel
Yeah,
like
that definitely
it's not,
helped
it's
me.
so easy to say it's not hard, but it's not hard. Just tap your foot.
yeah.
But no, to go back to the streaming thing. There's not a good way, really, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
In my opinion,
I think it's just moved to streaming, but
Me and
this
you have
just
talked
sucks
about
for
this.
the artist a little bit.
me and you
know?
have talked about this in the past, but I think that the best. Let me give you 5 right now. The best 5 ways to get your music out to audiences right now. Number 1, Facebook. Facebook, not even using Facebook as a page, but using Facebook's videos.
Yeah.
Facebook videos are taking over.
Yeah.
If you literally,
Are
you
you
don't
talking
even
about
have
live videos or just posting videos?
posting videos.
Yeah.
So I know so many people in my age range, and so many people that I know who get up in the morning, get on Facebook, scroll through, see what's new, and almost every time they get caught on a video. Videos are taking over. Like the Facebook videos, like people get stuck in that loop, and
Yeah.
literally all it takes is for even if you don't have like the capabilities of making like of actually shooting a video or something, just make like a GIF or something and loop it and put your music on that. That will
Yeah.
get to people. Second, Spotify and iTunes. Like I know that seems simple and easy, but if you're not on Spotify, it seems like you're not even legitimate anymore. Like that's like the feeling I feel like nowadays.
Yeah.
You need to be on Spotify. That's just like the number one streaming platform right now, and Apple
Yeah.
Music's not far behind.
Well, anytime anyone sees a band name and they want to check it out, they just go
They
to
go to
Spotify
Spotify
and search
yeah.
for it.
Or
Right.
some I don't know. I know a lot of people who use Apple Music. I actually prefer Apple Music to Spotify for a lot of things, just because I'm an iPhone user. But I do like Spotify if you're on a computer. But just in general, I don't like the mobile app very much for my personal taste. But yeah, Spotify and iTunes and Apple Music. That is super
Yeah.
important. Bandcamp, because Bandcamp gives people the opportunity to support you, whether or not you want to charge money for your album. Like our album's free, but a lot of people have given us money for our album. And like I said, if you pay even $1, you get 2 bonus tracks, so it gives you an incentive to pay something. And a lot of people are willing to give you $1. A lot of people are willing to give you $2 to support you. And,
Yeah.
and like it doesn't feel like begging because this is our jobs.
Yeah.
A lot of us.
Yeah, I don't think people are into buying music, but they are into supporting.
They are definitely into
artists.
supporting artists.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, and early
That's
on.
the kind of. I'm sorry to interrupt you. Go ahead.
No, it's okay. Early on, I would talk to our drummer is like our financial person, and he also provides a lot of money for the band. So everything we do, I have to go through him. And early on, I would say cassettes are important, CDs are important. He's like, well, no one buys that, and I'm like, no one listens to it, but they buy it.
Right.
That's the difference. They want to support us, and I feel much better about giving them something that we paid $3 to make that they're going to give us $10 for. I don't feel like I'm ripping anyone off selling them an album for $10.
Yeah.
And I don't think anyone feels bad supporting us. And if someone wants to give us $5 for our CD, we're more than happy to take it. It's the same thing with T-shirts. T-shirts just a little bit more visible, and a lot of people are willing to buy a T-shirt. Do they really want to spend $15 on a T-shirt? No, but they want to support you.
But if it's a really cool T-shirt, then
I think we have some cool
Double
T-shirts.
whammy.
We do super. I mean, I think I'm gonna phrase it and make it sound really cool. We do super special edition limited merch runs, and in reality, we just can't afford to buy a lot of merch at one time. So we do super special limited edition runs.
Yeah, no,
and we
that's
have
cool.
like 2 super cool T-shirts that are out right now. I actually brought you one, so
Oh.
I hope you wear a medium.
sweet. Yeah.
Cool.
Awesome.
But yeah, I feel like that's just something that's super important,
Yeah.
Like getting your name out there, and other
think-
musicians are also super super supportive.
Yeah.
So many times we have like went to a place and there's only been other musicians playing, and like there to watch you.
Yeah.
There's like 3 people in the audience, and
I've
everybody else
definitely-
is just a musician.
I've definitely been there.
And some of that is the best shows. And sometimes that's the most important thing, because when you're starting out, it's one fan. It sounds weird to say, but one fan isn't one fan. Like one person that hears you, that person could book your whole next tour because they think you're awesome. One
Yeah.
person could hear you, and that could be an agent, and he could pick you up. Or one
Or
person
they
could hear
could tell
you.
5 of their friends.
Yeah, even if they just do that. And living in college town's super cool, because like right now is spring break, and we just went to Cleveland, and a lot of our friends are from Cleveland. And
Yeah, you guys did
know,
a little mini tour.
yeah, we did our first 3 days out, and
How
that was fun.
that? Yeah.
It was great.
See, I've always experienced as a pretty popular local band, going out of town was always a struggle, and that seems to be a struggle for a lot of local
So
musicians.
actually,
But you said you had some friends out there, so that's
Yeah.
at least
yeah, we actually
a start.
we're super lucky that we like have only been a band for 10 months, but we've gathered like a pretty good following. And we're also super lucky that we're from Bowling Green. So a lot of people go home and tell their friends about us. Like a lot of people come to college at Bowling Green.
Yeah.
And then right now it's spring break, so that was convenient. Where a lot of people were back home for spring break.
Gotcha.
And we had some friends from other bands that we played with in the past come out to see us as fans, this time. And our attendance at every show was really good.
That's cool.
We worked. We made a lot of good connections, and we worked with a lot of our friends. Every place we went, we worked with our good friends. The first stop in Cleveland, we worked with FPT Booking, and those are some of our good friends who have brought some amazing bands here to Bowling Green from out of town. And we worked with them quite a bit in the past, and they're awesome. And the second time, we went to Lancaster, Ohio, the second night, and
that's like out in Amish country.
it's by Columbus, and there's a place there called the Firehouse, and they do like live recordings of bands, and so they taped everything, and they recorded everything as well. We played with Equipment, our friends in Equipment, and this amazing Michigan band called Wellman, and I'm just super excited that we got to actually hang out with like our friends from back home. They're in the middle of a tour, and their tour is going disastrously right now. Like their promoter is backed out of a lot of their dates and kind of pushed them in a bad spot. So they kind of were just on like a tour of visiting towns not playing in.
Oh man.
Yeah.
How long have they been out?
They left. Sorry, they left the day before us, and their tour ends on the 11th.
Oh.
So I mean, they've been out since last Friday.
So they're just like on vacation.
3/2 to 3/11, 9 days. And I think like 4 or 5 dates have canceled on them. And we actually just hooked them up with there's surprise. There's a little pop-up show happening this Friday at the Summit Shack.
Oh,
so
cool.
with Equipment and Tranquility and the American Spirits. 3 really good locals, if I don't say so myself.
Awesome. I need to get to the Summit Shack, man.
Are you gonna come out Friday night? Are you busy?
Yeah.
Cool.
What for those listening that don't know what it is, and I actually could use some clarification. What is the Summit Shack?
So the Summit Shack is located at 217 East Evers in Bowling Green, Ohio. It is my friend.
You gave out your address.
No, it's not. I don't live there. That's not my house.
You're blowing up the spot.
So please come to that spot, whether or not you're invited or not. We'll take you.
Is it just a regular venue?
It's actually my friend Connor's house. It started off as like it's actually his garage. Sorry.
Music plug counter?
No, that's Connor Mancini. Connor Mancini is a trumpet player for multiple bands and a past member of Indian Opinion, probably one of the best locals around in the past several years.
Yep.
But this is my drummer, not my drummer, the drummer in my band, Connor Kincaid. And his family owns this house, so we have free reign, I guess. I mean, free reign up to not destroying it. And I kind of just like, it started off as a space for like a collective of artists to like come together and make a project called Sameco, and they were going to work together to create like a better I'm blanking on the word right now, but to create a better working environment within the community for artists.
Oh, okay.
Just in general. And
almost like a artist
like an art
co-op.
collective, like a co-op. Yeah, that's the word I was looking for.
Oh, okay.
And so the idea kind of fizzled out after a minute, and I kind of like took over and said that, hey, this is now a music venue.
Yeah.
And I like literally took everything out of the garage, and I had a lot of help from all the guys and all the friends and all the people that have been around since day one. I can't even name them all. There's so many, but I had a lot of help, and we just kind of like made it into a big open space. And since then, we've hung up a lot of art, and we've hung up a lot of posters, and we've soundproofed the shit out of it. And we practice there, we perform there. We can fit like 80 people. We generally bring about 150 people to every show. So
nice.
Only about 80 can fit, and they cycle in and out. So It's an amazing time. I'm the most anxious person in the whole world on every Summit Check show because a lot of these bands are like banking on us to put on like a good space. You know, like when you're in a band and you go to a venue, you expect it to be a venue. You know,
No, that's
you expect them to take care of you, and you expect them to do everything that. At least I do. When I go to a venue, I expect the venue to do everything they can to help me out to make the night the best it possibly can be. And that's how I feel like everyone should be treated. And a lot of times we're not treated like that at a lot of places, and not locally because everyone's awesome here. But a lot of times, like the venue, you walk in and they just don't care, and I feel like that's really lame.
Yeah.
And when bands come, I want to give them the best possible experience. I want to do the best possible I can for them, and
Oh, that's cool. Yeah, I'm sure the bands coming in too, they're probably like, they realize that it's not an actual like bar venue that they're used to going
Yeah.
to, so they're probably a little bit more relaxed and chill.
every
But-
time that I last year was our first year running shows, and every time that a band would come in, they would just walk in the garage and throw all their gear down, and like, and then before that was one of my pet peeves, and my second pet peeve was when people would always ask if they needed to bring the PA. And I would be like, no, we have like a really nice PA setup. Like,
Yeah.
And I don't know why I got so mad, but I would just be like, no, we have it covered. Like we're like a real venue.
Okay.
Like, we're validated. We're
Yeah.
legit.
They probably
if you
get
Google
the
us,
idea,
it shows up.
They probably get the idea that it's
It's a
just
DIY
like a house
space.
party.
Yeah,
or whatever.
and I think that's like I want to change the narrative on that. I really
But man, that's really cool. that you
I
guys
really
are
really
getting-
hate that DIY shows turn into parties. That is like the biggest problem with DIY shows, and I do not treat it like that. Last year we were a little bit more informal because we were just starting out, and we were just lucky to be getting bands that wanted to come play. And now I wouldn't say we know what we're doing, but I know what I'm doing a little bit more.
Yeah.
than
No,
I
it
did
sounds like
last
you
year.
guys are getting really great crowds. I mean,
Yeah, we're doing
that's a lot
awesome.
of people.
We
so-
brought
especially when you compare-
amazing crowd last time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, that's great.
But every show we've had over 100 people since the first show.
Wow. That's awesome.
And there was a Summit Shack comedy show, the very first Summit Shack comedy show.
was gonna say, you
and I
guys
don't think
do
the
comedy.
attendance wasn't as great as some of our other shows, but we're working on that. And it's stand up comedy, so the audience is a little bit more niche. And we were out of town as well, so I think that it could have been a little bit better, but we're working on that. And we have more amazing acts coming up, and we have Fochella, which Fochella is like our big festival. And last year, it was headlined by us, the American Spirits, Common Fossils, which is the remnants of Indian Opinion, and my friend Kate Logan, who is an amazing ukulele player and singer, and Blake Stanford, and 5 amazing comedians. And that was last year's Fochella. And this year we said, okay, we did last year's Fochella on 3 days planning. We have a whole year, so we're really gonna do it this time.
Yeah,
and
putting it all together.
we said we're gonna blow it out this year. So we have Heart Attack Man headlining, and they're like an amazing Cleveland band. They're huge.
I
They
like
just
the
put out
name.
an amazing album, The Manson Family, and they're headlining it. And we have Pat Egan from Chicago coming in. He's one of my favorite artists. He's in Pat Egan and the Heavy Hearts. He's going to be doing a solo acoustic act. We have The Phones from Chicago coming in. That's 2 of my really good friends.
Wow.
We have Melted Purple, an amazing local. Discount Nostalgia, an amazing local. Us. And then we have a secret headliner that is like probably like one of the best bands, in my opinion, to ever happen in this area ever. So
Awesome.
I'm like so pumped. And then not only that, but we also have Benji Katz, formerly of Indian Opinion, performing a poetry set. We have a after party with a rapper, 2 rappers, and 3 DJs, I believe. We have a drag show happening in the house. We have and this is the Rosie and Viv show, so this is like a really
yeah,
good
yeah.
drag show.
Yeah, I've heard.
yeah.
I've seen the flyers for them at
Yeah,
Howard's.
they're amazing. This is a really good drag show, so they're gonna do that, and that's gonna be amazing. And then after that, they're gonna clear it out and make it at the after party. So there's gonna be DJs in the house.
Awesome.
And then there's
sounds like you
seven
guys-
bands, like 7 or 8 solo acts. just so many amazing artists.
Yeah.
that I can't even begin to name. And not only
No,
that,
man.
but so many amazing comics too. And that's April 21st. That's Record Store Day. So get super excited for that day. Don't forget it.
All right.
I'm just super excited for it.
No,
you
man,
know?
that
Like
sounds
that's like
really
the biggest
cool.
thing we've ever done. You know.
Sounds really
but
awesome.
but to get back to the point, anyways, the Summit Shack this year we're getting a lot more serious, and so to become a little bit more formal this year, I sent out like a intimidating email to everyone before they come and play, and it's like what I expect from them. And,
Guidelines.
number
for playing.
number one, put your stuff neatly. We're gonna make a backline. Everything's gonna go smoothly.
Yeah,
Here's
yeah.
where you're gonna put your stuff before the show. Here's where you're gonna put your stuff after the show.
That's
Um,
part. That's
you
all
know, and
part
that's-
of.
Yeah, and
growing.
it's like, hey,
Now you've-
you can't. These are things you can't do here. This isn't a party.
Yeah.
Treat everyone with respect. This is a show.
Well, you've built
Um,
something that now you can have a
Yeah.
little bit of like these are the guidelines if you want to
Yeah.
play here because it seems like you guys are
we
in
have
pretty
no
high demand.
Yeah, we have no shortage and of people that want to come, and that's a good thing. And we don't want that to stop. And we've never had an incident of having to tell someone to leave, and I'm super proud of that. We've never had to kick someone out. No one's ever been violent or silly, or no one's ever gotten too drunk and
Yeah.
But I think that's like we fostered a good environment, not only for shows but just for people. And one thing that I'm super proud of as well is the inclusivity of just not only the different kinds of people, but the fact that people aren't just hanging out with themselves. It's a community. It's like
Right.
if you see someone there that you've never seen before, not only me because I run it, but like everybody there, every fan that's there, they're not fans of the certain bands. They're fans of the Summit Shack a lot of times, and they're just
Yeah.
like, if they see someone they don't know, they're gonna go up and talk to that person and say, hey, this is who this is. Have you been here before? And like, what's your name?
Yeah.
And I've experienced that so many times.
Oh, that's
I've experienced
cool.
so many friendships being made because of it, and that's like super inspiring
Yeah.
as well.
And I think if that's the environment that you're kind of fostering, then people that are in the crowd and stuff, they'll kind of feed off of that energy too. So if it's coming from the top
Yeah.
down or where you guys started, and it sounds like a cool place, man. I gotta
is.
get there.
One thing that I'm really trying to do in 2018 is spotlight people that are trying to make this their careers. So many good touring bands coming through this year, and so many good locals that I think have the potential to make it and have the potential to go on and do great things. Past
There's a lot of great musicians.
what they're doing right now.
Yeah, there's a lot of great musicians around BG. Are you originally
So many
from
good
BG?
artists. I'm actually from a town called Deschler. Me and my bass player.
Oh, okay. Did you go to school here then, or
I went to Bowling Green College. Yeah, I went to BGSU.
that's what brought you here?
Yeah.
That's generally what brings people to BG. It seems like that's why I was there.
Yeah.
But
I went
mean-
to college for 3 years here. I went to Owens for a semester before that.
Yeah.
And so I didn't want to be a loser. I didn't want to not go to school. I had to go to school because everybody else wanted me to go to school, and I had the potential to go to school. So
Yeah.
I should.
well, there seems like there's a lot of pressure now.
There is.
Which I think that's going to change. Honestly, I think YouTube University is going to be like the future of college. Like I don't understand why. Like there's a lot of people that are just putting college lectures now online, and if you can learn, and a lot of online courses go through colleges now.
Yeah.
So it's like
Well,
we can all learn from our living room. We
There's
can
also
actually-
like this anti-intellectual movement as well.
yeah,
Like really
academia.
so many people are proud of like, I don't want to say being dumb, but like so many people are proud of like not being educated. Like I didn't even go to school, people
like
are proud
ignorant-
of that. Like
ignorance is
not
bliss.
I guess it's not really, everybody doesn't need to go to school. Some people shouldn't go to school, and
No.
that's just like some people don't have the drive, and some people, I shouldn't have went to school. I didn't want to go to school. I wanted to do this. I wanted
think-
to do music. I didn't want to go to sit in a classroom and do nothing. I don't know about you, but I don't have the brain that can sit and do something that I don't think's valuable.
Right.
If I don't see potential in doing it, I'm not going to do it.
Yeah.
So sitting in a classroom and doing science homework to me when I had a guitar in my dorm room, or when that when I could have had a girl in my dorm room,
Yeah.
seemed pretty stupid to me. That's
Yeah.
that I don't know. I just if I didn't value it, I didn't want to do it, and
Yeah.
I should have never went to school, but I did.
Well, I think you definitely should.
And I'm glad I did. Going to college, culturally opened me up to a lot of things I would have never experienced. I've met a lot of people I would have never met. My life is so much better now that I've went to college. But the cultural aspect was so important.
Right.
Just opening me up to different things and teaching me that, in the big sea of things, you're really nothing. When you come from a really small town and you're the only one like you. I don't want to say that I'm like unique or anything, but like when you're the only one who plays drums and you're the only one who plays guitar and you're the only one,
Yeah.
there's only like 2 kids in my whole school who played guitar.
Right.
3 kids, who played guitar. So it was like,
So you were like an outlier.
yeah, so it was like, but I always wanted to be like not like the cool kid, not like the popular kid, but like the James Franco cool, like I listen to cooler music than you kind of kid. That was always my goal. Was like I'm kind of like that cool guy. I don't care about anything, That was
Right.
like my bag,
Yeah.
And I really thought that was cool. So I would always try to do stuff like that, and I thought that was like super cool. And then I was like super unique in my town. And then I went to college, and it was like, oh, everybody's like this. Wow.
Yeah.
I
you
thought
met a
I was
bunch
the
of
only,
other people.
I thought I
that
was
were-
the only one who could show my emotions to people, and it was just like a
Yeah.
whole eye-opening experience.
There's
where
a
it was
lot of
like-
musicians in BG.
Yeah, there are.
Yeah.
And the scene is really growing right
Yeah.
now.
It's always been a really good scene in Bowling Green for music.
Can you give me
And
like a brief history? Because I'm not super
I can give you
familiar.
a history from like the last like 10 years or so.
Okay,
But
that's what I want to know.
It's honestly it changes, but there's always an influx of new bands coming in. I think
Yeah.
that has to do with the college. And
So
just-
one thing I wanted to say about Bowling Green was it gives a lot of people time to bullshit. The 4 years of Bowling Green gives you a chance to go, well, I'm here for a couple years. I'm going to be in a band for a while,
yeah,
and then
try out those.
and then you
like,
try out that
creative.
you try out the band thing.
Yeah.
And,
But I
and
think-
you're only here for 4 years. So even if you get something going, you got to get it going quick.
Yeah.
Because if you don't get it going quick, everybody's moving away. And that's
Right.
why so many Bowling Green bands failed, I think.
Yeah.
And not
But-
failed, but just like fizzled out because they graduated college and moved away,
Yeah. I think that could be like the goal for a lot of bands too, is just to
Have a good time.
be a college band,
Have a good time while they're in
then
college.
also, I think the college kind of attracts that sort of person that's into art and artwork, and the art department in Bowling Green is actually a really good university for students who want to go for artistic sort of endeavors and stuff. So I think the actual community of Bowling Green kind of attracts those sort of artist types that
Yeah.
end up being musicians and stuff. But
I dated an artist for a really long time, and one thing that I noticed about the community on campus was it was always a pissing contest.
oh yeah,
Just in my experience, and that,
Yeah.
I'm not like the ultimate authority
Well,
on anything, but it felt like a pissing contest a lot, where it was just like
Yeah.
everybody was against each other because they're all getting graded, And I feel like when you're critiquing, because everybody in the art department's got to critique each other, And,
Yeah.
And in my time with photography at the college, they're literally sitting in a classroom and somebody else is telling you what they think about your photo. And the thing is, you want your photo to be the best one, because there is a best one at the end of the day, and they pick a best one.
Yeah.
And everyone's voice
it's-
matters.
But it's art, so it's all just subjective.
But everyone wants to be better than everybody else, and I feel like
Yeah.
that's just like a huge thing that
a lot of
happens
competition.
a lot. Yeah.
Competition
and
can
one
make
thing,
you get better.
one thing about music is like I haven't really experienced that.
Yeah.
Around here, anyways.
Yeah.
Like me and you, we both met at open mic. Just a couple guys, each playing acoustic guitar, and it was like, "Oh, you play guitar? Cool, I play guitar. Let's talk."
Yeah.
Yeah.
That
every
doesn't
time I
seem
meet
to be
someone,
like a competition
No,
amongst
it's
the bands.
It's not a pissing contest.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's like, I don't know if that's because of a lack of competition here, because there isn't a shortage of shows. You know, like if you really want to get on a show, you can. You know, anyone can get on a show, whether it's good or bad. That's not to be said, but anyone can get on a show if they want to get booked. Because I know for a fact that I got booked when I was 16 years old. I got put on shows, and we had nothing to show anybody, ever.
Yeah.
We never had anything to show anybody, and we booked a lot of shows. We booked some good shows, played a lot of good shows. We were terrible, but we played a lot of good shows.
What's your favorite place to play?
Favorite place to play?
Do you have one? Other than the Summit Shack.
Nah, that's not even close. I like the Summit Shack, but man, favorite place to play? Favorite place I've played?
Yeah, sure. Favorite place you've ever played?
The Omni.
Ooh, in Cleveland?
No, the Omni in Toledo.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, by the college there. So we played there the night before Kenny Wayne Shepherd played there. So they had the whole stage set up, like all definitely. Like every
Awesome.
monitor was hooked up.
Big crowd? Was it full?
Not for the Omni. The place
No.
holds like 1,000 people.
Yeah.
There was like.
I didn't know if maybe
there
you
was
were on a
maybe
big
like
bill.
no. We were on like a best of the Battle of the Bands. It was like
Oh,
the final round, so they
cool.
put it at the big place.
Yeah.
And I think
It's
actually
probably
really
awesome just to play through that PA and everything.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. It was a terrible crowd. Probably like less than 100 people there. And the front of the stage, you can fit 50 people across it. So, but yeah, I don't know. I think that was an amazing stage.
Yeah.
And
That's cool.
and but my favorite place to play consistently is Howard's. Honestly, I love that room.
Yeah.
It's a really good room.
It is.
That big room.
Hey, back to what you were asking me about Bowling Green. The one thing that changed about Howard's is the ceiling. When I first moved to Bowling Green, it used to have I don't know if it was a suspended ceiling below the one that's there now, but it was all like almost like a carpeted suspended ceiling below it.
Weird.
But I'll tell you what,
It sound better?
the sound in there was like a lot different. It was more like a Frankie's kind of like I don't know.
See,
It was a really
my
cool,
favorite venues-
warmer sound. Now it's more of a loud, almost harsh, but it's still good. I still love playing at Howard's.
My favorite venues
I wish they had that
are the
ceiling.
rooms where it's like a room and then the bar along the side and then another room attached to that. Where it's like a hall, you know, where it's like the
Yeah.
stage and then there's like
That's your favorite venues?
those are the venues I love, like El Club in Detroit, or the Happy Dog at Euclid Tavern, or Frankie's,
Yeah.
or the Middle Room at Headliners.
So there's that separation.
where it's like a separation between the merch and all the crap in the back,
Yeah, and the other stuff to look
and then
at.
there's just a hall, or like I like it when it's like streamlined, you know, where it feels like a basement, you know. I love that where it's one room, but I like it when the bar is there, because if the bar is not in the room, you're missing out on a lot of people.
Right.
Because there might be 5 to 6 people sitting at the bar who don't give a shit, but they might turn their head and watch, and that's important.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
And you
what-
want the bartender
That's
to
pretty
see
much
you, 'cause-
Howard's too, you know, the double side and
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely think that Howard's is one of the better venues. I
Yeah.
think that Howard's is
it's
probably
awesome.
Howard's is probably
if you
the
can get a big
the
crowd
best
in there too.
Howard's is going to be the best venue in Bowling Green from probably now until Tony and Steve decide to sell it. You know,
Yeah.
they are constantly
Oh, it's a
making
great place,
improvements.
and they've done some really cool stuff with
Constantly
it since
making
they took over.
improvements. Yeah.
I love the they got the new side stage, which is sweet.
Yeah. We play on
And
that
then-
every Thursday. I do anyways.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they've
It's
done
great.
like the whole. They built that whole smoking area out there.
Yeah,
now,
the
too.
patio.
Yeah,
That's super cool too. Because before, everyone just went out the back door, and then everyone would just sneak in and not pay the cover,
oh yeah,
which was super lame.
yeah.
Because it is important to pay the cover.
Yeah, Howard's is always probably my favorite place in Bowling Green. I always like playing at Nate and Wally's too. Did you?
I've actually never played there. Do
Yeah?
they still have shows there?
I don't know if they still do. Last time I was in there, I do see. Do you know Corduroy Road?
I've seen their posters. Yeah, Justin Payne was on a poster with them.
Oh yeah. It's like Josh Denning, Blaine
Yeah.
Smead.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, those guys are all my buddies, but they play there. I think every Thursday.
Oh, cool. I know Trina Leaves has played
It's a
couple
small
shows
stage,
there.
and
Yeah.
they used to have a sound guy and everything, and they had everything that. And I think now, I mean, they still have the PA.
I did karaoke there once.
Oh yeah.
I did karaoke with some of my friends to I got friends in the
Oh, nice.
low place.
Classic karaoke song.
Yeah. I was really drunk, so it was not good. But
That happens
yeah.
at Nate and Wally's.
Nate and Wally's. So when I was in college, I don't know if this was a thing before I was in college, but it was called the Triple Crown, where you would drink the Nate and Wally's fishbowl first, and then you'd head to Tubby's and drink the huge Long Island, and then after that you'd go to Broadhouse and drink the
Legal joint.
the legal joint, and after that, if you drank the red fishbowl, you'd puke red. If you drink the blue fishbowl, you'd puke blue. If you drink the purple,
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this wasn't a thing when I
yeah,
was
that
there.
was the thing when I was in college, and
actually-
I definitely completed that challenge many times without puking. So then, me and my
Nice.
friend Drew, who was shout out to Drew Simpson, who is a excellent drinker. We have gotten in many drunk fights. We started doing the double triple crown, and we started
Going
off
around twice?
Going around twice.
Ooh.
And we finally ended it one night after we finally ended the drinking escapades with 9 legal joints in one night. I ended up choking him until he passed out, and then we decided to
Yowza.
stop doing that. It's a lot of legal joints, man.
That was the last of the. Yeah, that's crazy, man. Yeah, they didn't have that when I was there. Tubby's actually used to be called Brewster's.
Oh,
Like a lot of the bar names have changed. That's the thing about
Okay.
Bowling Green; it's always revolving because there's always a new influx of 20,000 students every 4 years.
that's something that makes
But,
me so mad that those students don't watch live music.
Yeah, and it's always
If
been
I could
like,
get,
it's
like,
always been the
100 of
dan-
them.
It's always been the dance
1%,
clubs. I mean, that's
1%.
kind of just that. That's what's in, dude. EDM is fucking huge.
Yep, it is. My drummer is a huge EDM fan, and he gets so mad at me because I will give him so much crap. I'll be like, you just don't have an attention span. That's why you like this stuff. Or I'll be like, you just like video games. And
Video
that's why
games,
you like this
man.
Stuff.
Yeah.
You know.
It's been
like,
on,
I'll just be
Twitch.
like, yeah. I'll just tell him like, you just like this stuff. I don't even know. I have endless insults, but he gets
Yeah.
fed up and eventually breaks on me every once in a while and yells at me. But yeah, my girlfriend's a big EDM fan. I actually have a really good EDM story if you want to hear it.
Sure.
I was at Bonnaroo, and
I've been to Bonnaroo.
yeah,
It's a good
I was at
time.
Bonnaroo in 2016, and
Who was the headliners? A couple of
the
main
Grateful
ones.
Dead and Pearl Jam.
Oh. Tool was the big one for me when I was there.
I can't remember a lot of the headliners. Is that bad?
Yeah. The Police were at mine at the Bonnaroo.
Ooh, that sounds awesome.
Yeah.
I like the Police. Last year, I saw the Chili
White
Peppers and
Stripes.
U2. And I was actually going to say that U2 put on a great show when I saw them.
Yeah.
So
I
don't-
can
don't
imagine
like
they
them,
do
but they put on a good show.
I'm just not
Bono-
a fan of their
it was,
music so
It was in the
much.
middle of the Trump thing when Trump was definitely in like the
Oh,
huge, the
he
big
was
Trump
probably
thing.
super
So
political.
Bono was super political, and like I am definitely not a fan of Trump or anything, but Bono, I was like, man, you don't even live here. Like,
Yeah.
you don't even live here. You don't even talk about Ireland, but no.
Yeah.
I did think they put on an awesome show.
Yeah, I bet
And,
they probably would.
The Chili Peppers put on a good show too, and
Yeah, I've seen the Chili Peppers.
I really when it gets down to it, up those older legacy acts and stuff like that, I'm super excited to see them. But it's always late at night, and I just want to sit on the lawn on a blanket with my girlfriend and
Yeah.
just relax.
Right.
And one of my favorite bands ever, Cage the Elephant, they were on one of the main stages,
Oh,
and that's what I
nice.
did. I would have loved to have been in that pit, and I've been in that pit every time I've seen them, all 6 times, except this one time, and I just
Yeah, Bonnaroo
just
was
couldn't do it.
massive.
80,000 people.
You're in the big
year,
main stage with that big like
The first year was only 45 that I went because it was a really kind of a poor lineup in the people's eyes. I thought it was a good lineup, and then the last year was like 75,000. But anyways, back to my EDM story. My girlfriend and I, it was our first Bonnaroo, and I was I'm not a shy person, but I have anxiety kind of bad. So when I'm around like a lot of people, I want to be comfortable.
yeah.
And I felt uncomfortable not being with Jenna at the festival. So I wanted to be with her, and she was going to Flosstradamus. And I don't know if you're familiar with Flosstradamus. Flosstradamus is very very heavy bass, like trap, very heavy, and lots of like jumping up and down and people hitting each other and stuff, and lots of like upper drugs being taken. And I was not into that. I don't like that kind of music, and I didn't know that was that kind of music. But my girlfriend's a huge fan of that artist, and she had a T-shirt on and everything, so I knew she was excited.
Yeah.
And she goes, "I'm gonna go see Floss. What are you gonna go do?" And I'm like, "I'm gonna go see Floss with you." And
Oh,
she's
man.
like, "Oh, you are?" I'm like, "Yeah, I would love to." She's like, "Oh no!" So we get there, and the first thing that happens is he goes, the DJ goes on. He goes, "Two turned up, I can't turn down." And then the bass drops, and then everybody just starts dancing and jumping into each other and fist pumping. And my girlfriend's one of those people, and I am like, I am
no.
not okay. I'm in the middle of
Yeah.
this, so I get to the back, and I run into the barrier from the sound guy, and I'm like the only person not moving around, jumping crazy and trying to hurt other people. And there's a guy next to me not doing anything crazy, and I'm like, "Oh, sweet! I found someone I like can move around without having to like get hit." And I look over, and he's like doing a line of cocaine off of his hand. He's like, and I'm like walking behind him, and I walk behind him, and I get through the crowd, and I like run into like a circle pit of people, and they're like all like throwing each other and stuff, and they see me running through the crowd, holding my backpack, like trying to get out of there. And as soon as they see me, instead of throwing me, the guy goes, "High five," and then gives me 2 high fives, and I left, and I went and saw J. Cole.
Nice.
I'm not a big J. Cole fan, but it was much
Wow.
better than that.
That sounds like
So,
a crazy.
It was
scene.
wild. I was not that big into it.
Yeah, especially if you're not ready for it. Did your
Oh, I
girlfriend-
didn't. Oh,
did
she
warn
loves
you?
that stuff.
But did she
Uh,
warn you before you guys went in? Like, hey, this
She
might
said
be
you're
a
not
little
gonna like
crazy?
it. She's like, you're not gonna like this.
Yeah.
I just didn't know that.
You didn't
I
expect
didn't
that
know it was
to
gonna be
be-
like that. I thought it was
Yeah.
gonna be like, so like whenever I think EDM, I think of like the minute amount of EDM that I like, which is like nice, melodic, slow, like keyboard stuff.
Yeah, yeah.
Not like crazy club. Like this is like Miami club mix. Go hard in the paint with all your friends.
You weren't ready for
And
that.
No, I was not ready for that at all. So I was out of there. But no, Bonnaroo was great. I love
Yeah, that's
love
cool.
going to festivals. I love going to concerts. Before I was a musician, I was a concert photographer. So like I would go to
Oh,
concerts
cool.
and photograph bands. And
Yeah. What do you think now that iPhones can take such good pictures compared to your photography days and having like an expensive? Did you have an expensive camera?
yeah, I've had a couple nice expensive cameras. I've also
What do you like? iPhone pictures, I feel like are pretty awesome. I mean,
Yeah.
but maybe that's just because I'm a little bit older, and I was around in the '80s when you had to go get film developed, and
Yeah.
like
So my thing is, a lot of people can take good photos with iPhones, and that's true. Like iPhones take amazing photos, and they take amazing videos. That's something people don't understand.
yeah,
Is
the video camera
with having
amazing.
iMovie on your phone, you could literally make as good of a YouTube video as like anybody can make. you
Yeah.
know? Like your iPhone shoots amazing video, but I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's awesome that people shoot photos with their iPhones. I don't think it's cool that people have their phones out during shows. And if you ever see me with my phone out during shows, it's because I have to be, or because I'm trying to take photos. And I use my phone to take photos a lot. It's convenient, but the problem is a lot of times. The problem with iPhones is you don't watch the show. You're watching it through the iPhone.
right.
You can watch it
I
on
think
Snapchat.
people do that with not only with shows, but with like a lot of stuff out in
Yeah,
nature.
they do. They do.
Like I see people in nature and they're just
Yeah.
videotaping the entire thing.
But another thing, you said, how do I feel about that affecting the career? There's a lot of people taking photos that are really good at taking photos with their phones, but when you get down to it, you're gonna pay someone that's amazing. You're gonna pay someone who's like taking photos like this. That's who you're paying to take photos.
oh yeah, that's cool.
Stuff like that. You're not paying someone to take a photo from the stands.
right.
You're paying someone to take.
So you're saying that there's still like it's not it's not so much the device you're using; it's the skill of the person.
It's the skill. It's absolutely the skill.
Yeah.
And one thing that I really I think is undervalued is the person. The people who are on the stage aren't taking the photos that you see on Instagram of them. The people that are on tour with them take the photos, you know? And being a photographer, I value that a lot. I think that there are certain photographers out there that are worth paying so much money, that are worth bringing on tour, that are worth... It's invaluable. You know, a good photo catches someone's eye a lot faster than a song does.
Yeah.
You know,
Especially on things like social media.
And social media is so huge nowadays that having good photos is really important, and that's something that's super valuable. We actually elected to make a huge financial decision and rent a trailer instead of sharing a drum kit this whole tour and bringing the minimal 4 of us and then our guitars and cabs and stuff, and we elected to rent a trailer and bring a photographer with us.
Sweet.
And pay him for
Did you
his
get some good
services.
shots?
Yeah, he shot a roll of film every day.
Nice.
We didn't shoot any digital at all. Everything's all film. We wanted to kind of stay true to what he does.
Yeah.
And he's
you guys
amazing.
could, I really like your music videos that you guys did too.
Yeah, thank you.
Those are cool.
Our friends at Loon Base Studios are amazing.
Loon Base Studios?
Loon Base Studios out of Chicago. And that's our friends Matt, Chance, and Taylor.
How long does something like that take to shoot? Did you guys do a couple days or
Just
a
one
day?
day.
One day?
Well, technically it was a day and a quarter, maybe. I mean, like I wasn't there for the second day because there was only one shot.
Yeah.
But we got pretty much everything we needed in one day. Have you seen the video?
Yeah, the one with
Yeah.
the burning.
Yeah, so that's like everyone's favorite thing, and we have
really
that
cool.
chair at the Summit Shack right now.
Oh yeah,
and we
sweet.
had that at the last show. And some of our, I would call them mega fans, they sat in the chair, and took photos in it. They're pretty intoxicated, so I don't think they realized that we actually burned that chair. Like it's covered in soot.
Nice.
So when they sat in it, they became
just-
covered
yeah,
in
yeah.
black soot, and they were happy with it. They didn't care.
They didn't fall
they were-
through or anything.
No, they were
That's
super
good.
excited to be in the chair. So shout out to them. They're amazing.
Yeah, man.
Our fans are awesome. Just like the people in the community, and like it started off just being our friends, and then it became friends of friends, and then friends who told friends, and now we have fans.
Yeah,
and
man.
that's like super important.
That's awesome.
And having people come to our shows is like the most inspiring thing in the whole world.
Yeah. What I'm going to ask you the question that musicians don't like, but what would you say you sound like? American Spirits.
Oh, if you want to put it on a big scale,
Like you can either go with genre or you can compare it to some other bands, but it's hard to compare to other bands, I think, because I don't think two bands ever sound
I
alike.
think that we have a lot of similar sounds to a ton of bands. I really do. I think that
Yeah.
I can compare myself to like 20 different bands, and I think that we have elements of all 20 of those. But
Yeah.
obviously, we're going to sound like Secret Space. For anyone who doesn't know Secret Space, they are one of the best bands to ever come out of Northwest Ohio. It's good friends of ours.
And that's Steve who
Steve
did the
Worsler, who
album.
did our album.
Yeah.
And we used his drum kit. We used his studio where he's done Secret
Okay.
Space stuff. We
So
used
it's actually going to have a
Dean's-
sonically, it's going to have
it's going to have
similar
tones. I used all of Dean's guitar equipment.
Oh, there
I
you go.
used some of my guitars, and I used my guitar cab, but I used his Vibrolux.
Yeah.
I used a lot of his
What
pedals.
if you were going to give it like something to narrow down the genre? Would you consider yourself indie rock?
I don't know if I would call myself indie rock though. I think that
I mean, that's a pretty broad umbrella.
We're bordering on emo. Like
Okay.
in the term emo in 2018, I'm just referring to super emotional, emotionally driven stuff with a really good hook. It's kind of poppy, but it's also punk at the same time.
Yeah.
You know, very if you know Citizen, Citizen's on a bigger scale than Secret Space, but another similar band to us. Very similar to that, where it's emotional music, but it's very ethereal at times, but it's also very heavy. So if you've ever heard of like Explosions in the Sky or Mogwai or those post-rock bands like that, it can sound like that 1 second and then sound like Nirvana, heavy as hell the next second.
Yeah.
And we do have a lot of variety.
Would you say with your guitar playing, do you think are you more into? Do you do a lot of hooks, or more texture wise?
So everything I write's all melody.
Okay.
Everything. I mean, like that's like a super broad term, I guess. But like, I start off with like before when we write songs. This is not how every song's written, but for the most part, all of this, I think every song on the album is pretty much written like this, where I'm sitting at home with an acoustic, and I'm just sitting there playing guitar, writing, and I'll find something that I like, and I'll work with that, and I'll play it over and over and over again until my girlfriend tells me that I'm annoying, and then I'll bring that to practice, and I'll start putting it through pedals, and then once I put it through all the pedals, and I find the right delay and the right chorus and the right distortions and stuff, it kind of turns into a song.
Okay.
And then
so are you the primary songwriter then, or do
I
you
wouldn't
guys kind of do it together?
I would say it's collaborative, but I write 90% of the melodies.
You get it started kind of with the melodies.
I wouldn't say I get it. I wouldn't even say I get it started. I would say I write the melodies.
Okay.
But a lot of times Trey has the lyrics. And then once I have the melody, sometimes I'll send like a recording to Connor, and he'll get a drum part in his head.
Yeah.
And
you
then,
guys are a 4-piece?
4-piece, yeah.
Yeah.
And then there's only guitar, drums, and bass.
Right.
And
so then your singer
singer doesn't play any
and
instruments.
You said
he does. He actually does.
On the way over here, he was he's kind of got like a hip hop kind
yeah,
of
like he's,
background.
Yeah, like a freestyle rap.
Yeah,
almost
nice.
like underground. Like he's a huge.
But does he
rock
now? Does
fan.
he do that with the American Spirits, or is it more?
He definitely breaks.
melody-driven?
He definitely breaks into some rap, but not like super like rappy rap. He just more like sublimey, I guess.
No, that's cool. That seems.
We've
like
been compared to
that would
21
bring
Pilots a lot, but I hate that comparison. We do not sound like 21 Pilots. Just vocal style, I guess. But but no,
Okay.
we do get we do.
Well, I think
get a
anytime
little
when
rappy sometimes.
you're throwing that sort of rhythmic, if he's doing it, I'm sure. I guess I'd have to hear it, but it sounds like it'd be really interesting to have, something that's maybe not hip hop oriented musically with some sort of, flow over top of it. That sounds pretty sweet.
Yeah, I definitely think that a lot of the early stuff, and a lot of times when we're working stuff out, he just kind of raps it out in his head.
Yeah.
And a lot of times when he writes stuff, he has stuff written in his. So like back to like who writes the songs, he has stuff written in his phone. Like he'll literally just write a rap
Yeah, that's
and put it in
cool.
his phone, and then
I can never
he can
do
make
that.
he can make any lyric go to anything. Like if we ever want to play anything freestyle, he can make any lyric go to anything. So he has that amazing talent where he
Yeah.
just has like this way with words. So
I always have to write my lyrics to the music. I can never do it
Yeah.
the other way. I can never just
me too.
write
Me too. I have to
something.
write music first. But no, he just writes lyrics, and I've contributed lines here and there, like hooks. A couple, like I think the title of the album, "So Much Time Has Passed," was a line that I contributed.
Nice.
A couple, yeah, super huge plug for myself. But no, just like super like simple like, hooks like
Do you
that,
like
you know,
little
like
melody
like
or,
hooks like that, you know, like
yeah,
something like
yeah.
a phrase that really like drives like the meaning of the song. I think
Yeah.
that like because like something that I feel with the melody that I think like if I'm writing the melody and I like when I'm writing that a phrase comes to my mind, that's important to me that like that phrase is in there, you know.
Right.
And then we have a song called "Don't Speak," and even though Trey's everything that he wrote for the song was entirely different, the part that I wrote for the song was super important to me that we keep it in there. So it almost acts like two different parts because it's two different people writing it, but
Yeah.
he's singing everything.
Two different
So
ideas
it's two
creatively.
different ideas. So like part of the song is one part, and you're speaking in one tone, and then the second part of the song is a whole different feel where
Yeah.
I'm playing a whole different part on the guitar. The tones are different. He's speaking a whole different narrative to you, and I like that.
It's kind of a
that
mashup.
Yeah, I like that difference.
Yeah.
And I don't know. We've talked about doing like a little bit more of me vocals and Trey playing guitar and stuff.
Oh, yeah?
And I don't really like. I like the organicness of what we're doing now. You know,
Yeah.
I feel like getting too complicated just because we can.
Right.
It would
How
kind of hurt
many
things.
how many vocals on stage? Just the two of you?
We let Bales sing sometimes.
Okay.
We give
Is
no
Bale
we give
the
Bales
bass?
Bales is the bass player. No, Bales has an amazing
Bales.
voice. His name is Bailey,
Bailey.
but he goes by Bales. I don't really know why. He just always has. We grew up together. We were in the choir together all through
Nice.
school. So we've been singing in each other's ears for a really long time, and he has a beautiful voice.
So he sings too.
So he also sings. Yeah,
Oh,
he sings
okay.
some harmonies and
You
sings.
guys harmonize together?
We try. We focus more on playing our instruments because it's really hard to sing and play at the same time.
Yeah.
So and Bales has
Especially
only
if
been
you're doing
playing
a lot of leads,
Bales has only been playing for a
melodies and-
year.
Oh, okay.
And I'm not I'm not the greatest in the whole world either. So
Well, sometimes
so simple is better for us.
Yeah.
But there is a lot of times where we do a gang vocal or we'll all scream a phrase together or accentuate something. But he definitely
Yeah.
does add in a lot of texture.
Right.
And just things like that.
Yeah, I've been in bands where they've wanted me to sing as the drummer, just the background
I love
vocals
it.
and
It's my
stuff.
favorite.
And I've done it, but then at the same time, I do get to the point where I'm like, man, I really would just rather just focus on the drums, and for some reason, as a drummer, like kind of what you were kind of thinking with you want to focus on your lead guitar. I kind of feel the same way sometimes when I'm playing drums. I'm like, I don't even want to bring a mic back here just because it'll distract me a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Playing the drums and singing is weird.
it's a lot different.
Yeah. I can do it. I'm not like the best singer and I'm not the best drummer.
But playing lead
do
guitar,
it.
like a solo type thing and singing over it, that's kind of similar to playing drums because you're doing weird combinations with your fingers and same with your
Yeah.
hands.
I just don't like when I'm drumming, I like to be able to move my head a lot. If I could put like
Yeah.
one of those
How long
headsets
have you
on.
played drums?
I got a drum set when I was 13.
Oh,
So
so you're like
I played
pretty
all of
versed
them.
on the drums.
I could be in a band.
Yeah?
I'm not
No,
good
that's
enough
cool,
to
man.
I'm not good enough to
No.
anybody who plays the drums is going to know that I'm not very good. But no, I haven't had a kit for a couple of years, so I'm not as good as I should be. But no, I was pretty good.
Yeah,
I
especially if you
I
learn
played
when
shows
you're-
and stuff, and I'm left-handed, and I
Oh,
play
okay.
open-handed. So the first thing that anyone notices is that I play open-handed, and they always want to go, how did you learn like that, or did you force yourself to play like that? It's like I'm left-handed; it just works. Like that's just the
Like
way I
this?
like it. Yeah, I like
Yeah.
playing open-handed. It's my favorite.
Yeah.
But
No, that's cool.
but yeah, I don't know. I could if I
And
sat
then-
down at a kit for a week, I would be, I could definitely play shows with anybody, not anybody, but I could play
Yeah.
shows with somebody
No, man, it's
that
just
wanted
like
a drummer.
it's dancing along.
Yeah.
That's all. I noticed you picked up my bass right when you got here.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
are you pretty well versed on the bass too?
yeah. I am. I played them all. So when I was a kid,
So the next
like
step,
I said,
I'm sorry, but go ahead.
no, when I was a kid, I grew up in a town where there wasn't anybody else who played instruments. So if you wanted to play,
Yeah.
you got to play them all.
No, that's
and
cool.
so I'm lucky enough to have probably the coolest grandma of anyone in the whole entire world, and she lives in Florida, and she was the most supportive person growing up, and I lived with her when I was a kid, and she introduced me to Bob Dylan and Jackson Browne and James Taylor and all the good ones at a very young age, and she definitely encouraged me to play music.
Oh,
And
that's cool.
so when I was like 14, I had 15, probably 15 years old. Let me think. 15, I had a full drum set, a PV 16 channel board, a Fender Twin,
Wow.
a couple nice amps.
So did you do?
all the bass gear I needed, all the PA gear I needed,
Yeah.
all that stuff. And that was a mixture of me buying it myself and my grandma going, well, because I was playing shows and stuff, and she would come and see us play because she's awesome, and she would go, well, what do you need to get better? And I would be like, well, a couple monitors would be nice, and she'd buy me 4 monitors, and then she'd be like, oh, what do you need to get better,
Man,
I was
I
like,
really
well,
like your
I don't know,
grandma.
how about some cymbals? So she hooked me up with some cymbals, but it's like,
No, that's awesome. that she
yeah,
was
so
encouraging
like when I
this.
was younger, I got to like expose myself to all these instruments, and like no one taught me to play any of these things. Never took a guitar lesson.
It's so.
I've never
I think
taken
it's so important that when you're young, though, to get that in your system,
Yeah.
and then kind of get going with the learning. It just makes it so much
But
easier.
one thing I was
it
going to
seems
say was, no one taught me how to do any of this stuff. So I was a novice at everything,
Yeah.
and I'm still a novice at everything. And one thing that I will say is people at my school and people around me, besides my family, were super unsupportive, and they cut me down a lot for playing music. And people like we've talked a lot about this. You're getting compared to the Foo Fighters and Led Zeppelin and you're a 15-year-old kid playing music in your bedroom.
Yeah.
You know, your music's not going to be great. Give me a break. But like, you know, I'd post stuff and the kids would say really mean stuff and they'd pick on me and stuff. But like, it didn't bother me because it was like a lot. Some of it was like my friends, and it was like my friends giving me crap. But like, it hurt because it was like my music and it was my art, you know. And people around me weren't very supportive, and that's something that's changed a lot, you know. And that's why I am still doing this.
Yeah.
But yeah, just people were super were super lame back then. You know, they didn't value playing music.
Yeah.
I just think that
it's
it's people want you to go to college and people want you to like, you know, people want you to do what their parents do.
yeah.
So doing something that's not that is weird.
Well, it's an artistic endeavor that a lot of people don't understand. But I mean, honestly, it is it is strange sometimes for me to even think, because 2 years ago I released my first album as
Let's talk about you a little bit.
Well, it was just as a one-man band. But
With the Onlys,
but the
right?
idea, like similar to you, I play drums and guitar, and I like writing songs a lot. So the idea for me was just to record everything in a studio myself, and then release it online to a virtual, and be like a virtual band, almost like. I think that's the way the Gorillaz kind of started.
Yeah.
I think there's a couple guys there. But that was kind of just the idea. And so here I am 2 years later. And, I still have days where I'm like, I don't know. It's weird because initially I had like a backlog of songs that I wanted to release and record. And so I recorded a lot of music. I've recorded and released like 25 songs in the last 2 years. But now that I feel like I've expelled all that, I almost feel like I'm taking a break from writing now, and now I'm just kind of more focusing on just translating that to a live show. So
So have you played any live shows with that band, with that music?
that's generally what I've been doing a lot of the open mic nights with.
Okay.
So,
Yeah.
but I do have days where I'm like, always questioning. I don't know. It's interesting being a musician.
It's weird. We're all weird.
Yeah.
But no, I mean, your stuff's awesome. I mean, I don't.
Oh, thanks.
I don't really know what to. I don't really know what to. I'm not talented enough to put that all together.
I was gonna
I might
say-
play all the
I was gonna say,
instruments,
it
but I'm
sounds
not
like-
talented enough to put it all together like you are. I'm not as. I don't know if it's experience or what it is, but I'm not as driven as you are to do something like that. I need other people helping me.
Yeah. Well, it was a lot of, it was kind of like one of those things where I took the steps, not actually realizing, like originally, I started as a drummer, and then I just, when I was in my early 20s, I started playing guitar and writing songs. And then, I started doing a one-man band after I was already a drummer in a band and a singer in a band. And then so for me, I kind of just ended up on that pathway. And then the next step for me was just to learn how to record myself and mix it.
Yeah.
And once I got to that point, it was almost like having a way to express the music. And so
See,
I don't know.
wish,
It kind
I
of
wish
just
my mind worked
it almost
like that.
it almost like fell into my lap. Where I remember I was just like sitting there one day, and I was like, I'm just gonna learn how to record myself and just make a one man band just to make some music. And then my other branch off of that was like, it would be interesting to learn how to actually mix and record music, and if that's a skill that I could develop, I thought that would be an alternate sort of path.
Yeah.
So I was almost like practicing on myself with mixing, but then, I just had all these songs. So it was nice to like have that release of like, I let go of like 25 songs, and now I'm back to, I'm just kind of like, I don't know. I have a few songs that I'm working on now, but I think I'm going to wait on recording and just kind of kind of wait till I have more stuff. But it's kind of nice that I don't feel like I have a backlog anymore.
I feel like in today's age, releasing things as like an album isn't important. Like I literally was reading on Reddit today that somebody was asking like the validity of even releasing albums anymore against singles.
Yeah.
So even if you wanted to, you can record things one at a time.
Yeah, that's
you know,
actually,
and that's like the benefit of today's age, you know. And
Yeah.
I'm one of those people who's like, I really wish there weren't cell phones and everybody just checked their messages when they got home, and everybody still listened to vinyl and cassettes,
Yeah.
and
there was just 2 radio stations.
yeah, and everybody
That was the
used
only place for
cash.
music.
Everybody used cash, and when you wanted to watch, the movie, you had to turn on the TV at 7:00. You know, I liked that. That was good.
Yeah.
What happened to that? I'm always
Well,
going to be one of
change
those
is
people,
inevitable, though.
but change is happening. It's here, so let's
It's always
embrace
gonna
it.
happen.
And as much as I like that whole like Led Zeppelin, like no, the music's meant to be listened to as a whole. That's a cool model, but things change, and unless you're really literally releasing, some people are writing music that is required to be released in volumes, and that's awesome.
Yeah.
But unless you're releasing stuff like that, you can release.
No, I did
things
some
in
singles. I did
Singles
that,
are great.
I did my first album with 17 tracks, but it was a lot of short tracks. It was only like a 45-minute album. But
There's some
and
covers
then
in there as well.
I did a Pink Floyd cover.
Yeah,
on
I
that
thought
one.
I thought there was a Pink
Yeah.
Floyd cover in there.
And then I released a single after that, and then I did a collaboration with a buddy of mine, Tyler Franklin.
Okay.
We released another single, and then I just did an EP. So that's
Okay.
kind of how they've added up for me. But I think that is the next thing I'm going to go for. Is
Have you tried to pitch any labels or anything like that?
You know,
Or what's your
No.
opinion on that?
I think to get signed by a label, it's kind of a catch-22. I think you need to have a giant following, and you need to already stand out for a label to sign you, because they won't even pay attention if it's a label that's worth anything.
Yeah, I definitely agree.
I mean, and I'm not just going black and white, it's totally like that, but I think in general. So you need to put everything together yourself and already have a huge following to attract a label. Because the label's not going to take somebody based on their music being great. They're going to take a band based on,
Marketability.
well, they're going to see the upside. They're going to be looking at it from a business standpoint. So
Also, one thing I've noticed is that labels really like when bands are one person. When it's not like 4 people that have
Yeah.
input in the band. They like it when it's one person's band and everybody else is
well, it's
following.
a lot easier to streamline with one
Yeah.
person.
And I've got a lot of friends who have been on labels and who speak good and bad things about labels.
Yeah.
But one thing I'm not willing to do is give up creative input on my band. I need to stop saying my band because it's our band.
my band,
not,
man.
It's not my band. It's our band. But
No, I
yeah,
think
I'm not willing to give up creative input on my band. And even like even the photography and stuff, like we have a certain look that we go for.
yeah.
And like luckily enough our friends are with that look, and they shoot with that. But like
Yeah.
even with photography and stuff, like we have a certain look we're going for, and that's what we want to do. And I don't, even if a label were to come in and say we want to do this for a different photography thing, and it's like, well, we don't like that, you know.
Yeah. Yeah, I
that's
think-
just the little things like that. Or
I
like
think if you were-
we
if
can't pick our openers or something like that. Like no, we want to be able to pick our openers. That's how that works.
Yeah. I think you have to know what you want a label to do. What is the
it's
purpose of the
very
label
particular
for you?
things are good for
Yeah,
labels.
and for me in particular, like I actually wouldn't need a label to make records because I can make records myself. But and that used to be what the general thing was, because it cost a few $100,000 to $1 million to make a record, and
Yeah.
it still does in the major studios.
I actually have a really good friend who they are a really amazing band, and they sent out their album to New York City to get mixed and mastered by some very famous person in their genre, and it cost them $10,000.
yeah, they're super
You know?
expensive.
So I mean, this band is good, and they're worth putting $10,000 into, but people are still spending $10,000 on albums, You
Yeah.
know, people are still spending $100,000 on albums.
Oh yeah,
and
and the marketing behind it.
we're
as
competing
well.
with that. You know, me and you are competing with that, and that's something that's
Well, that's almost an entirely
Wow.
different animal. The stuff that's on the radio, that's
Yeah.
like not even like they have $1 million marketing budgets behind a lot of those bands. And
So we actually just submitted not three. We just submitted 5 tracks to the radio today
oh yeah,
to WBGU, and
Oh,
they're-
that's cool.
They're going to get put into rotation.
yeah.
And,
you guys
one
should
thing-
look into every college submitting stuff
We're-
because that's the
the-
cool thing about college
We're
radio.
we're doing that very thing. But one thing that I think is kind of funny is it's kind of a waste to send the whole album because only 2 songs are radio friendly.
yeah,
Who makes radio friendly music anymore?
yeah.
But that's like
I think a lot of it is going digital now too, where
Yeah.
they just send a electronic press kit to.
that's
With
what we
the
did.
music
We
download.
that's what we did. We didn't have
Yeah,
to.
yeah.
We didn't literally have to send them a copy. But
Yeah, see, I did the whole mail it through the old postal system back in the day too. Like
Ooh.
we at one point we had 200 college radio stations spinning us across the country, but and that's just
That's
like
awesome.
But it wasn't something that we had help with. It we had to go through an actual like radio campaign marketing firm
Yeah.
place, and you know they had to have the seal of approval, and they showed us how to do everything, and but I don't know. There's different ways for it, but you know, back to like the label thing. I think one of the main things that bands can use a label for today is mostly for distribution.
Promotion and distribution.
Yeah,
I think promotion is the
branding
biggest
is
thing.
pretty important. So if you can have a label that can, I think that's one of the things that a lot of bands struggle with is having good solid branding. As far as you know, just like if you think of Metallica, you know what that brand is
Mm-hmm.
immediately, or you think of any sort of band. They all have, and like a lot of musicians don't like to talk about it, but I feel like that's so important, and it's often like overlooked. But
Yeah. I totally agree with you.
And so that I think that's something that a label can help you with,
Yeah.
and just
One-
getting your music exposure.
I think that probably if any musician who wants to make it, this is the way right here.
You have the
I'm
key?
going to tell you the secret.
All right,
This is the secret.
turn it up.
You ready? You have to get on shows with people who draw people. You have to play for people.
So
if you're going,
you're saying grassroots campaign,
grassroots
just
campaign,
traveling and touring,
not even traveling and touring. Local shows,
building a following.
local shows, play local shows, build a following, get on, play shows with people similar to your genre, and you know, like our goal is to eventually get on a tour with Citizen, or get on a tour with Secret Space, or you know, get on a tour with Turnover, because every night you're playing for 300 people who want to hear that kind of music.
Yeah,
You're playing for 1,000 people who want to hear that kind of music, who are going to like you on Facebook. If 10% of those guys follow you on Facebook, you're getting 100 likes a night.
yeah.
You're getting on a tour with a band like that
And
is
then,
how you,
you know,
that's how
they'll
you
tell
make it.
their
And
friends
the only
and-
way to get on a tour with bands like that is to get on the label that those bands are on. And that's the biggest thing.
That's the goal.
You have to get on the
That's-
label that with the good bands. That's the monopoly they have on the scene, but that's the way to do it. And that's really like in today's age.
So do you think to get on those labels, do you think that requires following from you to impress the label, or do you think on those smaller labels, like kind of what I was talking about is, you know, having all of your shit together ahead of time with as far as like already having fans and having the upside for the label to look at. That's more what I was just talking about was like the major
Yeah.
labels today.
But the thing is, I 100% agree with you. But you need the introduction to the label. So
Yeah.
get in good with the bands.
Oh yeah, having
Get in
the-
good if you're trying to get on. This is all hypothetical. If you're trying to get on Johnny's label and Johnny's signed to Apple, and Apple's getting 1,000 submissions a day from bands that, you know, they're not looking at most of them, but Johnny and you are good friends, and he loves your music, and you get on a couple opening shows with Johnny, and Apple's gonna be there. Apple's
Yeah.
going to see you. You draw some good fans to that show. Pretty soon, you're signed to Apple. That's really how that works. And it sounds simple, and it's not easy to get there. We're not there yet. We're trying to get there.
Yeah, I get what you're saying totally.
But it's just you have to get a following to where people actually
Yeah.
care about you.
I think yeah.
you have to. Not only is
I think
being
they're
good
more focused
important.
on the crowd that's watching you than
Yeah,
the actual
they
band
definitely
on the
are.
stage.
Yeah, they definitely are. And having
that's what
having
you
the
have to
crowd singing
remember.
your words is very important. You know,
Yeah.
having those hooks, having those words that people are noticing. You
Yeah.
know, but I do think that
And sadly, I think
you have
a
to
lot
get
of it's
noticed
about
by
social
somebody.
media as well.
It is.
You need
It
to have
really
a good
is.
presence online.
Yeah, and you have to have a good social media brand.
Yeah.
You know, how many times do
Yeah,
things
that's,
blow
that's
up?
where branding's really important.
Things
is
blow up
through
because
your-
of funny tweets, or because of a good photo, or a catchy video, or something like that.
that stuff's a pain in the ass.
It is. It really is. Just like the whole business side of being in a band is a pain in
Yeah.
the ass.
I wish, being just an online virtual band, I wish I had the luxury of not having to do the whole social media thing. But it's really like
You definitely have to.
it's uber important for me, especially because that's where I'm releasing music is online. So it's like I need that community. But I do I don't know, man. I just try to post stuff that I think is funny or cool. But it is a pain in the butt when I have to look through stuff and think about, all right, I'm going to find something to or I don't know. It's kind of a burden. Like, I don't know. I just don't really like using social media that much.
I feel you.
But I feel like I have to
Yeah.
to promote the brand. But then
Yeah.
again, there was a PR lady I was chatting with, and she was telling me that one of the things that musicians need to remember is you're trying to have the greatest job in the world. So, a little bit of hard work on social media and putting stuff out there. That's part
Yeah.
of the shitty part of your job
Yeah.
sometimes.
One thing that I can't stress enough is like being in a band isn't all like girls and like partying and like tour buses and all that stuff.
It's a lot of
it's none of
practice.
that. It's a lot of practice and carrying heavy stuff and no one paying attention to you, and going to towns that you don't remember where you're in anymore. Like this weekend, I didn't remember which towns we were in, and that's pretty bad. It was a short tour.
Yeah.
But just like driving back and forth to places is weird,
Yeah.
places you don't know anybody, or stuff like that.
I
And
always
like it's not
found,
that fun. I
I
mean,
always
it's fun,
found
but it's
out
not
on the road that time kind of slows down. But there's always that idea of hurry up, get to the venue, and wait for 4 hours.
Yeah, I hate that. Luckily, we were at Mahal's. I don't know if you're familiar with Mahal's, the bowling alley in Lakewood. It's like the best.
Oh, you
It's
guys
like the
go
best
bowling?
venue. We went bowling. Of course
Awesome.
we did.
I love bowling.
Terrible choice. I haven't bowled since I was like 10, and you use muscles you don't usually use in your hands. That's my guitar hand, man. It hurt.
Yeah,
But,
I didn't think about that.
But no, it was great. A lot of good friends at that show, and the people who made our music video were there.
Oh, sweet.
I got asked to go on a tour with my friends the Sonderbombs as their photographer. I eagerly said yes, and then realized we had booked a show, so I can't do it.
Dang.
but no, it's nice to see friends on the road.
Yeah.
It's nice. It's like a slice of home.
Well, sounds like you're doing good, man. Let's
thank
call
you.
this.
Yeah.
Call this a podcast.
It was great.
Yeah, man. Thanks, man. This
Thanks for
was
having me.
fun, and that's it.